How to thing YouTube? It's your boy Josh Shocks,
It's your boy Chris.
and this is another episode of Sports Talk 10 Josh. And on this episode, we're going to discuss Secret Invasion, episode 2. And the name of the episode is called Promises. Okay. All right. So I guess I can go first since I went first last time. I'm trying not to give too much. Oh, just to give you a warning, we will discuss spoilers. Also, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Okay. So let's start. So the first episode pretty much it did a flashback back to 1997, pretty much,
Yeah,
which go off the name of the episode, Promise, back when when Fury promised they was going to find him a new home and stuff like that. And you
yeah,
can sort of see our current villain when he was a younger,
yeah.
back in 1997, which you can see why he had a remorse and the anger that he had in this episode. But it this episode was actually pretty good. I would say it's just as good as episode one.
yeah.
Uh,
My problem,
it
but
revealed a
my
lot.
problem is you said it was a lot. Go ahead, my
Yeah,
bad.
it revealed a small point. I don't want to give it away. I might say that for later in the video. I don't want to steal nobody's thunder, but we discuss it later. We discuss it later. I'm just going off my first impression.
Uh, oh no, I was about to say off your point of with young Garrick.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm like, why would you hate humans for the Creed? Creed has nothing to do with humans at all. I don't know what
But
the
you got
hatred comes from.
is more than that. It's more than that. It's more than that. You know, it's more than that.
Yeah, but the fact that like that's his main. We'll get to that part later, like him
But the whole
explaining.
if you look at that leading him from episode one, I may be giving up. This is a potential. This is pretty much a spoiler. After he set off the bombs and stuff, right?
Yeah, the whole terrorist thing
So
in general.
yeah,
Yeah,
so pretty much he had like pretty much one of the scrolls as American, saying I'm
uh-huh.
American, to add the feud between Russia and America.
Yeah,
So it was set up. He playing chess. That's what he out there doing, playing chess.
yeah. But I was like, I would get to the point where I was like, yo, like, but the humans had nothing to do with y'all losing the war. But we'll get to that in a second. But anything else you want to add on that one before anything
Uh
else?
is I say the rest. It's more I want to discuss, but I discuss it later. I don't. I just that's just
Yeah,
my first impression.
yeah. Okay, all right. So yeah, same thing like you said. 1997. You find out that they made a truce on if the scrolls stay in human form, Nick Fury don't have to they don't have to worry about the backlash from Shield and all that at the time. At the time, this is back when Shield was first starting
But
up.
when
You know.
they technically working with Shield, like with spies
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah, they was like
technically they
spies.
was working.
Yeah,
Yeah,
technically, if you really think about it, they was the first Avengers initiative before Tony Stark and them. If you really think about it, the way that
yeah,
they were
yeah.
describing it,
They was
you
like
know.
their CIA division,
Yeah,
alien division, I guess you want to call it. I'm joking, but yeah.
yeah. But then like you said, but actually, when you think about it, the Skrulls has been around since '95. Nick Fury he knew about him in '95, and then he kept his prom. I mean, he made his promise to him in '97. So I don't know how long that war. I mean, now I don't know how long they've been like disguised per se. That
Hmm.
had Nick Fury had it from '95 to '97 to the point where he actually found out about it. I'm like,
Hmm.
now what happened between that gap? That year in between before they made that agreement. So
Hmm.
I'm like, okay. So '95 he knows about the scrolls. He knows about Talos and the scrolls that made it there. He knows about them. '96 is a blur. We don't know what happens after the battle with the Kree and Captain Marvel at Carol Danvers and her crew. Pretty much at the time. And then we go to 90. Now we know with '97, where now they partner up with Nick Fury, but this is before. I don't know if it's either before or this is right before they did the whole trying to find the whole planet thing at the end of Captain Marvel. So yeah, it's a lot of it's still a lot missing, but I can tell like I said, it's a spy show type of feel. So it's more questions and answers in the beginning, and then then the questions get answered in the process in the episode.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay, okay. Well, I want to discuss the theory that popped up to me. I watched it twice before we did this review. I don't
mm,
want to steal anybody thunder.
mm,
So, do you remember the part? This is a spoiler warning, potential spoiler alert. I'm just going to tell everybody this. This is pretty much a spoiler.
mm,
So, Gaia comes across a secret operation from the other scrolls,
mm,
and what they listed was different Avengers. Like for
okay,
example, they had Groot. If you
mm.
didn't, I would think it was Groot. Who else was it? It was Groot. I know Groot was the main one I remember. And
The
that
Scarlet
comes
Beast.
from was it? And what I was thinking was they're gonna see what they're gonna do is make super scrolls with
Yeah,
superhero Avenger type uh abilities. That's what I think they're gonna do. That's what gave it away when I first. That comes from the Super Scroll. That's from the comic books. If you don't get my reference.
yeah,
And I think in the next episode, one of the episode trailers of The Secret, they showed them with like extraordinary powers. So that might have been somewhat already a giveaway. If you actually look at it, it probably was sort of hinted if you look at some of the trailers of Secret
yeah,
Invasions.
yeah,
For
like
the
what
yeah,
the origins of the Super Scrolls, pretty much. That's pretty
yeah,
much what
pretty
that
much yeah.
episode is.
Introduce the Super Scroll. That's what I after watching it twice. That's what I got out of it. And I want to give another part. I want to still all the towards the end when Free pretty much got it looks like he was in the UK from the looks of it because
Yeah,
he was driving on
yeah,
the way he was driving on uh he was driving on the right hand side. So my assumption was he was somewhere in UK. I could
yeah,
be wrong. And pretty much they showed his wedding ring, which gave away that he's married, and it looks like it was married to one of the scrolls. That's what it looked like
yeah. From the beginning,
because
it was like
she looked
it's the
very
original.
familiar from the one from 1997. I might be giving away a spoiler. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
the pink elephant in the room. I could be wrong, but that looked like one of the scrolls.
yeah. I
What
mean,
you think?
it's definitely her. It's definitely her. It's
Yeah.
not no ifs, ands,
Okay.
and buts about it. It's her. But like you say, you're going from '97 to 2025. Yeah, it's gonna show. So yeah,
Yeah, I was like, I said I was like, okay. Oh, my man, Nick
yeah,
Fury out here winning. She could be anybody every night.
yeah.
I'm not. Let me stop joking. That's a joke. That's a joke.
But that, I mean, it looks like from their standpoint, that's like her That's like her permanent human form, though. I don't know if she can shape
Hmm.
shift, but it looks like that's her permanent form. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that whole thing. Hey, you still hear music? Or that's just me?
No.
Okay. Um, but yeah, now my point, I got a point too. I love the scene. The two scenes I like. I'm gonna go with one first. The first
Go
one I
for it.
liked was Talos saving Nick Fury and
Hmm.
going and ended up on the train. That scene
Yeah.
was remarkable.
Hmm.
Like how he broke it down, saying like he wanted to humans and the scrolls to coexist in the same world. And
Yeah,
Nick
that was a
Fury,
big reveal. There was
yeah,
what, like a million
a
scrolls on Earth. He was
million.
like,
Yeah,
man.
the ones that flee they flee their world, their planet
Hmm.
was a million scrolls have left their planet to hit Earth, and they've been there this whole time. A million scrolls just roaming, just roam.
Hmm.
They had no idea.
Yep.
Telos did, Telos did, but not Fury until
Hmm.
the train scene when he found out about it, and he told him about his thing. He's like he wanted humans and scrolls to coexist, and Nick Fury, he was like, as he quote, humans can't coexist with each other. You've been here long enough to know that, Talos.
Yeah.
We've been at war with each other since we can walk upright. There's not enough room or tolerance on this planet for another species. He was right though. It ain't. Like it's a
No.
constant battle just between us.
No.
It's a constant
It's
battle. So you know what I'm saying? By him saying that, I was like, that's a ball. I mean, that is a ball.
that. Yeah, that was the bar. What about the torture scene? That was a good scene.
I was gonna get to that right before the theories. I was gonna get to that right before.
My bad. My bad. I ain't see your thunder. Go ahead, man. Go
No,
ahead,
no,
man.
no, you good. And then the other point I like was Well, 3 points. I got 3 points. Then we can go to the third.
Go for it. Go for it.
The second one I like is that we actually find out who's part of the scroll council.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know that the prime minister of the UK is one. The NATO secretary general is a scroll, and I guess quote unquote a Fox News Top Gun guy is a scroll, and they all part of this whole thing to help the scrolls take over pretty much of this whole species. But not even the species. They try to take over the whole. Pretty much not trying to coexist with humans like Talos thinking. Talos is thinking they could coexist. They're trying to think that they could take over. Nick Fury's trying to stop them from taking over. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's the whole cat and mouse game right now. But because they so position of power, we don't know how many more high positions are they
Yeah,
in.
you
Like
don't know
you
what
said, episode
leadership
one.
they have in the
Yeah,
world. Then we don't know how far. 1997 to now is a long time, man. 2025
and
is
you
more than enough time.
and you talk about a million scrolls, a million. You don't know how many of them are in position of power in other countries. We don't know. We really don't know. And then the last point, we gotta go with it. The best scene of the whole episode with him and Rhodey in the restaurant. That was the best
Mhm.
scene through the whole episode. Just the
Yeah,
back and forth between the two. Nick Fury trying to get his hope. Because the kinship of them with the Avengers by that whole thing with him. Rhodey with the new job with I guess he's under the Secretary of Defense because he's not really the
I think he's part of the like the Department of Defense, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, but
Yeah.
he's not the director of it, so he's like under him. He's like the general
Mhm.
of it per se. But I did like the fact that he said, um, man who look like us don't get promoted because of who our daddies know. Every ounce of power we wrestle from the vice grips of the mediocre Alexander Pierce. Remember Alexander Pierce is from uh, Captain America Winter Soldier, which
Mhm.
he was, because with him, a lot of people ain't know he was going to buy. He pretty much was going to pay a ransom for his daughter being kidnapped. Nick Fury was the one that actually went on ahead with action and rescued her. A lot of people didn't know that though, but that's why
Mhm.
he felt kind of eerie about Alexander Pierce since that time frame. And he said, he also continued like who runs the world with expense in it, and expense and blood, expense and blood.
Mhm.
So let's make the powers mean something. Help a brother out. Meaning, he wanted to use
Mhm.
Rhodey, Rhodey's power, title and help to, help fight this war. He told him about it, but then we didn't know, and it looked kind of fishy. Now it sounds kind of fishy. I don't think they will do it per se because of the timeline and how emotions and everything was going on. The fact that Rhodey knew about the scrolls 15 years ago and just now saying something to Nick Fury about it sounds kind of weird. He didn't even bring it up.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to think of anything else that are we forgetting about. Let's see. I think this episode was pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And then, like you said, the old girl, Sonya going to the restaurant, torturing
Mhm.
dude.
Yeah, man. The torture scene that was pretty intense, man. Then the
Yeah,
gunfight, they came to rescue him. Then
yeah, they came. Yeah, end up killing him anyway because he did tell. He knew he told. He
he knew
knew.
he told.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, actually, when you was talking about the DNA, right? It was the weirdest thing that they picked out the DNA of pretty much like the Fantastic Four. If you think about it, when you actually think about it, like Groot can stretch, so that's like Mr. Fantastic with him being able to stretch. Frostbeast because of the strength, that was from Thor. Then they went with Cal Obedius. I mean yeah, Obsidian. Cal Obsidian, because he can but he can do something. I forgot. I think he got strength too, so he could be the same. And then the Extremis, which he can flame. He can pretty much deal with fire, so he can flame on.
Yeah. So
So it was like,
my gut is telling me probably from past Marvel films is probably evidence of like DNA they left behind. Could have
yeah.
been from a fight or incident. That's the only logical reason I can picture why they picked those.
Well, all of them they picked up at, it said Earth 60 C65, which that was around the time when that was the same Earth of Captain Marvel, but it was just years later. So
Hmm.
the way they did it, what I'm saying, it's kind of clever, but it's kind of like also it's kind of like a nod that they're going to bring in the Fantastic Four at some point, or the Fantastic Four is involved in some point of this at some point, because they are like kind of like in it as well in the comics, but like I said on episode one review, they try to stay away from the comics on this one so they can keep the surprise factor of everything.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
you know, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but that's why the giveaway I think about the Super Scrolls, because one of the during the meeting with all the other scroll leaders,
Mm.
what we're gonna do about the Avengers that came up, and then
He
it
said he
dawned
was
on me
worried
that's what
about
they
it.
were going. Yeah, so that's what he had to plan for.
Yeah, because I think my theory is it ain't going to be next episode, but I do think this season. Now that
Hmm.
this episode is out, truthfully, now that this episode is out, I think it's going to be another hero from another canon that's going to be involved in this in this show.
Okay, okay.
I don't think it's going to be an Avenger. I don't think it's going to be an Avenger that's going to be on this show. I think it's going to be somebody from another canon, which we'll get to that in the theory. But I'm firmly believing because of the
Hmm.
powers that he's using and the selected of the DNA that he picked, only one one hero can technically take him on.
Oh, what should? Oh, I want to hear it.
You want to
I
go? You
already
want to just go straight to the theory? You want to go straight to it?
just give your theory, man. We got time.
All right, all right, cool. So my theory on, I'm not saying this is episode three. I'm saying this probably gonna happen possibly within. I firmly believe Quake is going to be the superhero that's going to show up in Secret Invasion,
Oh, okay, that's not a
because
bad theory.
she's kind of like the known as the destroyer of worlds per se because of her powers. So
Hmm.
I would, because if it's a regular event, I don't think I ain't gonna say a regular Avenger. I don't think an OG Avenger outside of maybe Thor that can take on those Super Scrolls. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it would have to be somebody it's in the same canon, but it won't be an Avenger. But she still would be an agent of Shield. So
Hmm.
it has to be Quake. Quake has to probably show up in this season, like in this show. She's the only one that could actually can not only compete but also beat the Super Scrolls.
Okay. Okay. That's not a bad theory. That's not a bad theory. So for this episode, what will you give it a ranking? 0 to 10.
Oh, I can. This one actually, because of the acting alone, I say an 8. I actually like this
Yeah, I give it
episode.
an 8.
Yeah, I actually like
Yeah,
this
I
episode.
give it like an 8.
Yeah. And then, oh man, and let's not forget about the fact that, and the other reason why I say the scroll the roadie thing was fishy. Why would you volunteer to fire your mentor? Yo?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
would you volunteer? He thought they sent him. He said I volunteered, and he called him Nick and not Fury. But I'm
Hmm.
also kind of like Tony Stark did the same thing in Avengers. So I was like, so he can't be a scroll per se, but I wouldn't throw that possibility out because of the fact that those two things. One, he called him by his first name, which rarely anybody do. And
Hmm.
two, why would you volunteer to fire the pretty much a minute? I understand the Marie Hill thing happened, but that wasn't a result to fire him per se. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because that,
Okay.
yeah, people, you know what I'm saying? Like people in that field die every day. We even
Yeah.
seen Ross. We just saw Ross, a scroll, and they didn't think about firing him then. Like you know, what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And then they had a full fledged terror attack, which Garrick took his body and shot Marie Hill, but yeah, he did die from it. But it was like was a result of him being fired per se. Not really, because who's going to stop? Who's really was going to stop that terrorist attack? They didn't even know about the terrorist attack.
No. No.
The
Yeah.
White House had
So
nothing. They even
nothing
Brody
to
even
do with
said
that.
it. Yeah, Brody even said it. He's like, we didn't even know nothing about the attack. We ain't know nothing about it. So it's like, so why are you firing him? Now that you're trying to get him out the way, or you trying to cripple him? One of the two. But I don't know if Nick Fury. I mean, not Nick Fury. I don't know if Rhodey is a scroll, but it's shown. It's kind of shown a little bit with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this entire series we got to figure out who's a scroll and who's not. That's gonna be another.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody that's influencing Rhodey to get rid of Nick Fury, and
Mhm.
he's the scroll,
Yeah, it might be
and Rhodey is
somebody
not.
a part of the staff near. It got to
Exactly.
be somebody a part of the staff near the president because that's why I think they're going towards the White House, trying to.
Yeah.
The scrolls are trying to get in the White House. But I think we ended here. I give it a roughly. I agree with you. I give it about an 8 out of 10. Great
Yeah.
acting, great reveal. Like I didn't know Fury was married. That was
That was a loop. That
yeah.
was a loop. Cause
That caught me off guard. I was like, okay,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, because he did say in Winter Soldier that he was married, but he was like, I kept, he kept a secret. That's why I was like,
Hmm.
he ain't really. He pretty much like ain't nobody's business. So he's.
Oh man, there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
But I
All right,
also
so
think he did it. I also think he did it because the protector. At the same time, because
no,
nobody,
he can't really tell he's married because then people will come out as loved one. It makes
exactly. And then, like I
sense.
said, yeah, and then on top of it, like I said, not only you got to protect her, she's part of a species that nobody knows is still in Earth, like it's still on
Yeah,
Earth.
that's a little sprinkle on the top,
Yeah,
salt bay sprinkle, salt on the top. Yeah,
like you can't have it. You can't have a double-edged sword like that. I'm sorry. You have to be moving. You have to be moving very quietly off that. You
mhm,
have to. But
yeah.
yeah,
All right, all right. Think we're gonna end it here. I want to thank everybody for listening and watching. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe. Uh, just become a new member. So we're gonna post this on a weekly basis, and we got other future plans for the channel. So just stay. I just want everyone to be a part of it and just help us grow. All right. Peace and hair
sure.
grease.
You know,